So, welcome back to Not Leaving Las Vegas. And it seems tragically that every horrible tale in the annals of history seem to have some kind of pinnings to Sin City. Maybe it's something about this town and its name. For example, you may not know that fundamental LDS leader Warren Jeffs spent time in Vegas, or that the 9/11 attackers spent time in Las Vegas, or, of course, the Tupac Shakur killer, or at least the man who facilitated the killing, obviously came to Vegas. Everybody seems to come to Vegas. And in this tale, we're going to go over David Copperfield and Jeffrey Epstein. Now, a bit of a trigger warning, two warnings. First is the trigger. If you're a victim of abuse, you may not want to watch this video. This video is going to get into some serious stuff. I'm going to have to mute large portions. It's not your audio setup that's breaking. It's me actually breaking down the audio so I can bypass and be PG-13. The second thing is, this is not an indictment of David Copperfield. He may or may not have done anything wrong. However, in many jurisdictions, he might have done something wrong. A suspicion of a crime without reporting it is actually a crime in some areas. But again, he was in some private island in the middle of the ocean. But we're going to get into Jeffrey Epstein and David Copperfield in this video and explain what's going on. If you don't know, my name is Steven. I'm Not Leaving Las Vegas. Subscribe because you're not going to get any kind of analysis like this anywhere else on YouTube about Vegas-related stuff, and I love bringing it to you, even though this one makes my skin crawl, and I just have so much love and sympathy for the victims of this man's crimes. Not Copperfield, Jeffrey Epstein. Now, if you've been living under a rock, Jeffrey Epstein was a billionaire, he was hyper-connected, and apparently he used a web of underage girls and trafficking to grow his influence and blackmail people. He also had celebrities come to his island. One of them seems to be David Copperfield. And David Copperfield might have been a little bit deeper than some of these other celebrities, which we'll look at it as just half a second. He did this so he could blackmail people and amass a huge fortune of wealth. And that's where we're at right now. So let's take a look at the video and take a look at what we got going on with Copperfield. Now, it comes from Business Insider. Business Insider decides to be cute right off the bat. Magician David Copperfield reappears, that's a cute magic pun, and Jeffrey Epstein court documents with a lawyer suggesting he traded tickets for girls. That's disgusting. Now, we're going to get to the part where Copperfield may or may not have broken a law. He probably didn't. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, and that's not for me to decide, and I'm not going to accuse him of breaking any laws, but I'll explain how laws can be broken based on my own personal experience with the story at the end of this video about how I was nearly sent to prison for something that somebody else did, but I got off because I helped the cops and because I had no idea a crime was being committed. Hey, time for a quick shameless profit timeout. Did you know you can get videos like this completely uncensored, earlier than everybody else, plus content I can't even dream of putting on YouTube due to the censorship restrictions? But that's only over on Patreon. So for pennies a day, you can help out there. Thank you to all my Patreon members. I love every single one of you equally. You're all awesome. Plus, the second thing is, this channel is almost larger than the Review Journal's website, and that's the largest newspaper in all of Nevada. So click subscribe if you want to subscribe to the channel. Hit the link in the pinned comment for the Patreon link, and I hope to see you over there, early and uncensored. Now back to the video. So unredacted court documents came out this week, and the court documents are not a list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. They're just a list of testimony that was given in court that was sealed up for a long time. These testimonies named particular people and the interactions that these poor girls might have had with those people. So unredacted court documents mention David Copperfield. At a deposition, a lawyer suggested the pair recruited girls for one another, meaning that Copperfield might have known that girls that were under the age of consent, that were basically thrown into this trafficking ring, knew that there was a trafficking ring and were incentivized to recruit other girls to bring them into the ring, which is disgusting. Now, the lawyer also suggested Copperfield gave Epstein tickets to his shows here in Las Vegas in order to give to young women, whether or not that was to try to entice them into the lifestyle or to give to them to go to shows with men, we don't know. But it says a new tranche of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein, unsealed on Friday, that's today as I'm recording, suggests more ties between celebrity magician David Copperfield and the financer. Again, I'm blanking that word out because we got to be PG-13. Copperfield's name appears in a 2010 deposition of a girl named Sarah as part of a case against Epstein brought by an unnamed plaintiff. She worked for Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, can never say the name right. They are accused of recruiting the girls. In the deposition, the plaintiff's lawyer asked the girl, Sarah, if she knew Copperfield, about the relationship between Epstein and Copperfield, and if she recalled a dinner with the Palm Beach mansion where Epstein had his mansion, and which was attended by Copperfield. So it says here, the plaintiff's lawyer continued asking if the Epstein had recruited girls from one another and if they were involved in trafficking. And he asked plainly, do you know that when David Copperfield was in town, he gives Jeffrey Epstein tickets and Jeffrey gives some to young women to attend the shows? Okay. The lawyer asked, do you know that those girls are involved in backstage after the show? She continues to invoke the Fifth as to not indict herself, which is a legal proceeding, and it's a thing you can do. You can say I indict the Fifth Amendment to not plead guilty to this case. So you're not admitting guilt, you're not saying anything that will indict you in the case. So before they were released, Copperfield had not been linked at all to this guy, but now he is linked to this guy pretty heavily. And it also, Copperfield shows up in 2016 depositions as well for another young girl named Johanna, and that was released on January 3rd. So basically, this young girl recalls meeting the Copperfield, the magician, and he seemed to be a friend of Epstein, met him at Jeffrey Epstein's house. Copperfield asked her if she was, quote, aware the girls were getting paid to find other girls. And this is where this case gets so scumbaggy and gross, because this means that Copperfield had a suspicion that these girls were being paid to recruit other girls. And I mean, these girls were young women. They were not over the age of 18. And some of them were clearly where a guy would say, are you over 18? Can I even be talking to you right now? Kind of territory. Copperfield knew, and he had a suspicion, and he asked this girl, do you know that these girls are getting paid to recruit one another? Now, of course, representatives from Copperfield's camp don't respond to anything, and he's worth $46 million as of 2020. This guy basically earns money renting out 11 private islands he already owns in the Bahamas. Maybe that's how he knew Jeffrey Epstein, because Epstein Island was one of these places. But there's another side to this case, too. Copperfield has been accused of this stuff in the past. So this isn't, as I said, the first time Copperfield has been accused of something like this. As we can see, back in the early 2000s, he was accused of assaulting a young model in 1988. Now, she claims she kept it basically chill for 10 years and finally told a chiropractor, and then was, empowered by the Me Too movement to come out. But the story goes that she was a model, wanted to be the next Elle Macpherson, the next cover model. And at a show that she was competing in where David Copperfield was a judge, he basically met her backstage, took her upstairs, her in 1988. Nothing ever came out this case, and Copperfield's people didn't respond, but his lawyer did say, we have to consider the accusations carefully in the source. So I don't know if any of this stuff actually happened. I mean, it's her word against his, and we all saw what happened with Johnny Depp, so I'll leave that up to you. Now, once again, we don't know if Copperfield did these things, and I'm not saying he did, but I'm saying that there's been accusations in the past, and he was linked to this person who was dealing with young women. It doesn't look good for the magician here in town. I'm not saying he did them. You shouldn't boycott him. You should make your own decisions on that because you're a fully grown adult. But I do know for a fact that in many jurisdictions, if you suspect a crime is in progress, you're duty-bound to report it. I had a case many, many years ago, over a decade ago, where a lady that I knew for a long time gave me 2 MacBook computers to fix. The passwords were locked, and I took them in and tried to fix them. It turns out the computers had LoJack on them, and because I was putting my services up on Craigslist, LVMPD, Metro officers, undercover detectives, found me and knew that it was me who was talking about fixing computers. So they offered to meet me on the Las Vegas Strip to drop off a computer to me, arrested me, put me in a cop car, and told me that I was going to be charged with the crime. Now, I didn't know at the time that the computers were stolen, but they told me had I known, I would have been implicated in that same crime, because if you take if you're a car body shop and somebody brings you a car and they say, repaint my car, that's one thing. But if somebody brings you a car riddled with bullet holes and asks you to file the VIN number off of it and repaint it and fix the bullet holes, you're supposed to suspect that that might be involved in a crime and report that to the police. So I don't know if that's the case here. I hope Copperfield's doing the right thing and he's going to cooperate with everybody, but that's up to him. And it's up to you to decide what you really think about him. And I thought this would be an interesting case for you guys to hear about here on the channel. If you're just watching the videos, please do like, share, subscribe. Check out some more videos on my channel. We'll be back in a few days to tell you why the housing market in Vegas is completely rigged and how you guys don't even stand a chance with all this, and why it's all about corporate greed and corporate ownership of everything. And we have proof to back that claim up. Now's the time of the video where I say 3, 2, 1, click. Thank you for watching. As I look at the camera, get nice and close, and I say 3, 2, 1, and click.